Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Strongman Personal Finance. I am in a hotel right now. If the internet cuts out, if the screen goes black, it is not my fault. I don't want to hear any complaining. Anyway, we got some big news in the stock market today. We got US GDP, gross domestic product, growing at a 3% annualized rate. We got the Federal Reserve Board, the FOMC, stating that we are not cutting rates now. Rates are going to remain the same. And Trump tariffs India for a very hilarious reason. Let's cover all the news now. Welcome back, everybody. So, the first big news item is that U.S. gross domestic product, also known as the national income, did pretty well. And I'm actually not surprised. And you're going to see why in a second. So we got this release from the BEA.gov. Real GDP increased at an annualized rate of 3% in the second quarter of 2025, April, May, and June. And the reason they had to specify that is because the government has different quarters in a different fiscal year than the actual fiscal year calendar. The government year starts in October and ends in September. The real year starts in January and ends in December. I hope you knew that. According to the advanced estimate released by the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, in the first quarter, real GDP decreased by 0.5%. Now, real GDP is adjusted for inflation. So nominal GDP, if you actually see nominal GDP, it probably is growing at 5 or 6% on an annualized basis because that includes inflation. So real GDP is actual real growth excluding inflation. So when you see real GDP growth, that means the economy is actually growing. If you see nominal GDP growth, that doesn't necessarily mean the economy grew. You can even see an economy contract with nominal growth, but the real growth could be negative because of inflation. But anyway, so you look at the chart here, they go back to Q1 of 2024 all the way to Q2 of 2025. So we've had, persistent growth in GDP, and we had an actual decline in GDP of Q1 2025. Do you remember why? They were the tariffs. All the companies that were in the United States that were worried about tariffs, they went ahead and front-loaded a bunch of inventory from overseas because they knew Trump was going to assess tariffs, which was going to increase the cost of goods imported. So they tried to front-load that. And what happened was a bunch of money flooded out of the United States and a bunch of products came in. When you calculate GDP, you actually subtract imports from GDP. So if you have a surge in imports, you're going to see a corresponding decrease in GDP. So this negative GDP right here was a man-made thing by the Trump administration. And now that the mania of imports slowing down, that's helped GDP. So let's see. The increase in real GDP in the second quarter primarily reflected a decrease in imports, shocker, because everything was front-loaded, which are a subtraction in the calculation of GDP, and an increase in consumer spending. So, of course, Americans never fail in blowing all their freaking money. This is why you get rich in the stock market. These movements were partly offset by decreases in investment and exports. Interesting. I thought we were supposed to be like an export powerhouse, bro. I thought we were going to become the manufacturing capital of the world, bro. Okay, so basically the huge swing was mostly from imports and a little bit of consumer spending. Those were the big contributors, but investment, government up a little bit, and exports down. Exports and investment actually subtracted from real GDP, so there's been a decline in investment, which is surprising. So it's all consumer spending and then a change, basically imports not being as crazy as they were before. Okay. Real final sales to private domestic purchasers, the sum of consumer spending and gross private fixed investment, increased 1.2% in the second quarter, compared with an increase of 1.9% of the first quarter. The price index for gross domestic purchases increased 1.9%, compared with an increase of 3.4% in the first quarter. Personal consumption expenditures, spending money on nonsense, increased 2.1%, compared with an increase of 3.7%. Excluding food and energy prices, the PCE price index increased 2.5%, compared with an increase of 3.5%. So basically what this is saying is inflation is coming down, but the Fed, as we'll see, isn't cutting rates because they're worried about future inflation caused by tariffs. Okay. So let's see. Real GDP grew 3%. Current dollar GDP, that's what I was talking about. That's nominal GDP, grew at 5%. But that includes inflation. And then they have some other breakdowns here. Okay, so that's GDP. I mean, it's a good thing GDP is growing. I mean, because you look at the projections and they were saying, oh, US GDP is only going to grow at 1%, 1.5% in the future. We're still cooking pretty good numbers. Pretty good freaking numbers overall. So that's a GDP print. I think that was a beat. I think they were expecting less, but that's really nothing to shake a stick at. The 3% growth for a developed economy, real growth, is pretty freaking good. Okay. Usually less developed economies grow faster and they slow down as they mature. The US is still printing 3% real. Not bad. So that's GDP. Okay. Thank you, Donald Trump, for not freaking us out with tariffs more. So now we have the big news. Oh my God. Let's see. Federal Reserve issues FOMC statement. Let's read this. Although swings in net exports continue to affect data, recent indicators suggest that growth of economic activity moderated in the first half of the year. The unemployment rate remains low and labor market conditions remain solid. Inflation remains somewhat elevated. So it's at the most recent reading was 2.5%, but that could go up with tariffs. The committee seeks to achieve maximum employment and inflation at the rate of 2% over the long run. They've said this over and over again. They want 2% in the long run. We're not even there yet, and there's a risk it's going to go back up. Now, employment's good. I mean, we have some of the lowest unemployment in history, I think. But inflation is kind of what they're worried about, so they're being cautious. I mean, if they saw inflation plunge to like 1.1%, or God help us, deflation, I'm sure they'd cut at that point. But if inflation's still above 2% and they're worried about tariffs in the second half of the year, they're not going to cut. And the economy's doing fine. We're growing at 3% with 4.25%, 4.5% federal funds rate. And employment's good. Why cut? Oh, because it's costing Trump money. That's why he wants it cut. Because that affects government interest rates. In support of its goals, the committee decided to maintain the target rate for Fed funds at 4.25% to 4.5%, which means my treasuries keep paying me. In considering the extent and timing of additional adjustments to the target rate for the federal funds rate, the committee will carefully assess incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. The committee will continue reducing its holdings of Treasury securities and agency debt and agency mortgage-backed securities. So they're offloading from the federal balance sheet. So in times of crisis, what the Fed does is they'll buy securities from like banks and stuff. And what that does is that takes the securities off the bank's balance sheets and it injects the banks with cash. And then they do it in reverse when times are good. So the Federal Reserve's balance sheet doesn't massively explode over time. It's basically like taking money out of the system. Because that's how money is created. The money gets injected to the banks, get deposits. They lend out freaking money. That causes the money multiplier effect, blah, 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 blah. So if you take money out of the system or you raise the cost of money, you're going to have hopefully less inflation. The committee is strongly committed to supporting maximum employment, returning inflation to its 2% objective. In assessing the appropriate stance of monetary policy, the committee will continue to monitor the implications of incoming information. So just generic crap here, basically. We're looking out for indicators. We're being cautious. The committee would be prepared to adjust the stance of monetary policy as appropriate if risks emerge that could impede the attainment of the committee's goals. The committee's assessments will take into account a wide range of information, including readings on labor market conditions, inflation pressures, and inflation expectations. Wouldn't that be funny if inflation really started to pick back up? Okay, so I saw this. So there's a committee, right? And I think it's an 11-person committee. I could be wrong. But 9 of the committee, all these people here, voted in favor of this decision to maintain the federal funds rate at 4.25 to 4.5. There were 2 dissenters, Michelle Bowman and Christopher Waller, who preferred to lower the target rate by 0.25%. Pfft. Wow. Oh. Absent and not voting was Adriana D. Where we do your freaking job, Adriana. She didn't even freaking vote on this. So, excuse me. So anyway, I guess that's a big deal somehow because there hasn't been a lot of dissenting like this before, but apparently 2 people dissented and they wanted a 0.25% rate cut, which, okay, I guess that would save the government a little bit of money, but that's not a huge cut. That's not a huge cut. And that your mortgages ain't coming down. Trust me on that one. All right, let's check the stream. All right, let's go over to India. So we got some drama with India here. Apparently, we're going to be putting tariffs on India. So Trump, this is hilarious. 7 hours ago, Trump posts on Truth Social, we have a massive trade deficit with India. Okay, so Trump is mad because we're importing more from India than they're importing from us, which creates a trade deficit. Basically, more cash is flowing to India from the United States than the other way around on a net-on-net basis. Trump doesn't like trade deficits because he thinks a trade deficit means you're getting ripped off. Not necessarily true, okay? So he posts this 7 hours ago. I'm sure there's some kind of breakdown in negotiations, so now he's going to up the pressure. And then he posts this. Remember, while India is our friend, we have over the years done relatively little business with them because their tariffs are far too high, among the highest in the world, and they have the most strenuous and obnoxious non-monetary barriers of any country. I like how China's like, we're cool with China now. We're cool with China now. Now India is the target. Also, they have always bought a vast majority of their military equipment from Russia. Yeah, a lot of countries buy equipment from Russia. Russia has huge stockpiles of equipment from the communist days, and it's pretty good equipment. Like the AK, stuff like that, all the tanks. Russia has all this inventory from communist times. And yeah, they sell to a lot of countries. And are Russia's largest buyer of energy, along with China. Yeah, India and China have helped Russia out a little bit, if you know what I'm saying, to keep their economy booming. At a time when everyone wants Russia to stop the massacres in Ukraine. All things not good. Okay, so Trump, he's complaining about non-tariff barriers. He's complaining about tariffs themselves. And he doesn't like the fact that India is buying Russian oil. So that's his justification. India will therefore be paying a tariff of 25%. Plus a penalty. Oh, he's charging a penalty for the above, starting on August 1st. Thank you for your attention to this matter. MAGA. Okay, so, we got a short time frame. It's in 2 days. India's going to be paying tariffs. Scary. All right, then he posts August 1st, a great day for America. Are we having, is this like Liberation Day 3? Are we on 2 or 3? I forgot. Okay. I would recommend if you have long-term investments, don't worry about it, because if things get bad, Trump will chicken out. It's called taco. Trump always chickens out. The August 1st deadline is the August 1st deadline. It stands strong and it will not be extended. A big day for America. Okay, so there's probably going to be some freaking drama in the next couple of days. But I don't think it's anything to worry about long run. Because Trump's a bussy. I was concerned when he first started this whole trade war, because I thought he was going to keep at it. But of course, he backed down like a little bussy. And then once I figured that out, I'm like, just completely ignore everything he's doing. Completely ignore it. If the stock market starts to crash, he will back down. If treasury yields start to spike, he will back down. It's all clownery. And then he posted this 38 minutes ago. We are very busy in the White House today working on trade deals. I have spoken to the leaders of many countries, all of whom want to make the United States extremely happy. Oh, I know a way to make you happy. I will be meeting with the South Korean trade delegation this afternoon. South Korea is right now at a 25% tariff, but they have an offer to buy down those tariffs. I will be interested in hearing what the offer is. We have concluded a deal with the country of Pakistan. Do we have a lot of trade with Pakistan? Whereby Pakistan and the U.S. will work together on developing their massive oil reserves. Ooh. We are in the process of choosing the oil company that will lead this partnership. Oh, yeah, it's whatever oil company gives Donald Trump the most money, personally. Oh, yeah, you want $1 billion? Yeah, let us do Pakistani oil, bro. Who knows? Maybe they'll be selling oil to India someday. Well, I mean, yeah, India does buy from Russia, but it's going to take time to find new providers. Likewise, other countries are making offers for a tariff reduction. All this will help reduce our trade deficit in a very major way. A full report will be released at the appropriate time. Okay, so he's still doing the trade nonsense, but I wouldn't worry about it. Oh, VA home loan program. Okay, then he's complaining about. So that's the big news today. So we got a little potential oil deal with Pakistan. We don't know what company is going to lead it. We got tariffs coming up on India in the next couple of days. That'll create some drama. And he's mad that they're buying Russian oil, but that's just how the world works. People trade, okay? Just because Russia's being a bad little boy doesn't mean that India has to stop buying their oil. Oh, it's just how it works. I mean, you got to get your oil where you got to get your oil. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I guess that's more of the big news today. So GDP, 3%, doing pretty good. Federal Reserve keeps the rates stable, but there are two dissenters who wanted to cut a 0.25 percentage point. And now we have trade drama with frickin' India. Wonderful. All right, let's do some comments, and I'm getting frickin' dinner. I am hungry. I'm going to Chipotle. All right, before we get into comments, check out my CPA services. I'm a CPA. I can do your taxes any state in the United States, business or personal. I can also do tax planning for you if you have a business, if you're self-employed, and you're not sure how much taxes to pay in quarterly payments or to withhold from your salary from your S corporation. I can help you calculate that, and that can save you a lot of money in penalties and interest. Click the link. You can book a free initial consultation with me. I'll talk to you about your tax situation completely free, and then I'll quote you for whatever follow-on services you need. I also do sponsored videos, $50 a pop. If you want me to cover a topic, you pay me $50. I cover the topic. We're all happy. I have a book, Stop Being a Broke Loser. You can check that out as well. I do one-on-one consulting. You can talk to me for a price, one-on-one, and many other great things. Click the link. It'll be in the pinned comment at the conclusion of this live stream. Give me your money. Thank you very much. Ryu, I'm only answering member comments, by the way. Sue me. Everything performed well. Wow. Shocker. All right, I'll give Fake Alias some love since I know him. Ryu, what's up, man? Mr. CPA. If you're a CPA, I'll answer your comments, even if you're not a member. Ryu, everybody's giving me Ryu's here. Tariffs made this. Without tariffs, GDP would have been negative 10,000. The Fed would have raised rates, and India would buy more Russian oil. I don't freaking know. Thank God for these tariff wars, bro. Trump was such a little bussy, dude. Such a bussy. Oh, the stock market's going down. Oh, stop the trade war. And then he just makes up some nonsense. Oh, yeah, everybody's kissing my butt. Oh, yeah, sure, Trump. I get to watch both lives today. I'm off for my wage. Good for you. I'm enjoying these live streams. I might even pay for StreamYard so I get like better quality picture. We'll see. I have to figure that out. Or maybe I'll try like Restream or something like that. I got to experiment a little bit. Daddy Powell said no rate cuts, and the board agreed. 9 yay, 2 nay. And even the ones that were dissenting only wanted a 0.25 percentage cut. You're not getting your freaking rate cuts. You're not getting a mortgage. You're going to be poor for the rest of your life. Strenuous and obnoxious, LOL. No one is taking tacos seriously. I am in the same camp as you. I don't even care about what Trump tweets anymore. It was funny at the beginning. Well, it wasn't that funny, but it's a bunch of nonsense. Time for India to pay up. Jasmine rice will be super expensive now. Good thing I can afford it. Maybe I'll have to switch rice. I don't know. I actually eat a decent amount of rice. But my total market international funds will go up a bit now. Yeah, they're finally going up one freaking year. They'll probably crash by the end of the year. Trump is like a 3-year-old that has discovered the light switch on, off, on, off. He's just a clown. Okay, he's a total freaking clown. The reason the economy's doing so well is massive I mean, he is very pro corporation overall. And, you know, when you have massive tax cuts and you're a guy that loves corporate profits and you let companies do whatever they want and there's no regulations, yeah, companies will make more money because they're grifting more. VTIA, I believe that's the International Mutual Fund. Not a bad choice. Commander and Bussy Warrior. Chipotle obsession is real. Don't you feel the soy using the app? You seem hangry. Nicotine before food is bad. Anxious. I am very freaking hungry. I am very freaking hungry. And I love my Chipotle. But once I go self-employed, I might have to slow down on that a little bit. I'm on my wagey boy break. Oh, you still at work? Poor guy. It's great to own your job. I can watch Daddy Dong lives all day. Oh, and I'll be doing a lot more streams. So trust me on that one. We're going to have a lot of fun. The bowl that I'm eating right now, VTIX is my hedge until Trump leaves office. Yeah, my hedge is short-term treasuries. VUSXX. Anyway, thank you for tuning into my second live stream. This may be it for today. I don't know. Maybe I'll post a video if I feel like it, but check out all my services. Click the link. I do tax preparation, tax planning, consulting, sponsored videos. Check out my book, Stop Being a Broke Loser. It's a pretty good book. I liked it. And I actually wrote it. I didn't use freaking AI. I wrote it. And plenty of other services all in that link. And you guys have a wonderful, delicious day.